I trusted my husband completely until this happened. The first time I sensed something was wrong, it wasn't dramatic. No slammed doors, no tearful confession. It was a declined card at the grocery store, blinking red between a loaf of bread and a carton of milk, while the cashier waited and a line formed behind me. I laughed it off, cheeks warm, telling myself, banks make mistakes all the time. Still, on the drive home, that small red light stayed with me, pulsing like a quiet warning I didn't yet know how to read. From the outside, our life looked like something out of a lifestyle magazine. We were young, healthy, and doing well by every modern measure. Too good salaries, a comfortable apartment filled with light, children who asked too many questions and slept too little. Mornings were a blur of coffee, pressed shirts, and hurried kisses before we each disappeared into our professional worlds. Evenings were calmer, homework at the table, shared dinners, plans made for weekends and vacations. Our stability rested on something we rarely discussed because it felt permanent: our jobs. His corporate position and my own career together formed the quiet foundation of everything we had built. That's why the early signs felt more embarrassing than alarming. My husband forgot his wallet more often. He suggested we postpone booking a short holiday, blaming workload and stress. Once at a restaurant, he excused himself to the bathroom when the bill arrived, returning just as I paid without thinking twice. I teased him gently about being distracted, about working too hard. He smiled a little too quickly, and I chose not to look closer. I trusted him completely. I still do. If he said a delay was temporary or an expense unnecessary, I believed him without hesitation. Love for me meant faith. Even when small inconsistencies appeared, I told myself that every family has awkward moments, that money hiccups happen, that the man I married would never let us fall. Looking back, I realize how desperately I wanted that to be true. At the time, though, I brushed away their unease and held on to our shared story. We were fine. We were secure, and whatever shadows flickered at the edges of our life would disappear if I simply kept believing. The children noticed before I allowed myself to. Children always do. One evening, as we cleared the table, our son asked why we weren't going to the movies anymore. Our daughter followed with an even sharper question: why Daddy was home so early every day now? Their voices were innocent, curious, but they landed heavily in my chest. I laughed the way adults do when they want to keep the world simple for small ears, and said, plans change and work slows down sometimes. Yet that night, after they were asleep, the questions stayed awake with me. I didn't accuse him. I didn't raise my voice. I asked carefully, The way you ask when you are afraid of the answer. We sat across from each other in the quiet living room, the hum of the refrigerator filling the spaces between words. He listened, really listened, and then he told me the truth. The corporation had let him go. Not yesterday, not last week, but months ago. Restructuring budget cards, a meeting that lasted 15 minutes, and changed everything. He spoke calmly, almost professionally, as if describing someone else's misfortune. He explained how he had sent out applications, reached out to old contacts, researched opportunities late at night while we slept. He really wanted to fix it on his own. He believed he could protect us from the worry, from the instability. As he talked, I saw not failure but exhaustion. A man carrying a weight he never meant to share. The days that followed were harder than the conversation itself. Fear crept into ordinary moments, opening emails, checking account balances, lying awake while the city slept. I worried about the future in ways I never had before. School fears, rent increases, the fragile line between comfort and uncertainty. I felt guilty for being afraid and grateful that we are facing it together. Some mornings I was strong, other days I had to breathe through the panic and remind myself that we were still ours. What surprised me most was how quickly fear gave way to resolve. We talked constantly, honestly. We made lists and crossed things out. We decided what we could pause, what we could live without, and what truly mattered. He considered new industries, freelance work, even retraining for a different career. I adjusted my own expectations and expenses without resentment. Every small decision became an act of partnership. Nothing was lost. Not really. We had each other, our health, and the ability to adapt. The mood in our home shifted, not darker, but more intentional. Laughter returned, quieter but real. Hope stopped being automatic and became something we chose every day. Our strategy for the near future came together slowly, shaped by long conversations and practical compromises. We cut expenses without turning it into a punishment. Fewer dinners out, postponed purchases, simpler weekends that revolved around works, board games, and time instead of money. We treated these changes not as losses, but as breathing space. At the same time, we approached the job search as a shared project. He expanded his search beyond the corporate world, explored contract work, and enrolled in an online course to shift his skills toward a growing field. I offered him help where I could, from reviewing resumes to reminding him, sometimes gently, sometimes firmly, that his worth was not defined by a job title. There were setbacks, of course. Rejections arrived, some polite, others painfully silent, but each one was met with encouragement instead of blame. We celebrated small wins, a promising interview, a useful connection, a new idea that sparked excitement in his voice again. Our home became a place of rebuilding, not despair. The children sensed the change too, not the fear, but the unity. They learned, without us spelling it out, that families adjust and move forward together. Looking back, I understand how much this experience reshaped me. I learned that trust does not mean blindness, and strength does not mean carrying everything alone. I learned that fear can coexist with love and still lead to growth if you face it honestly. Most of all, I learned that security is not something a paycheck guarantees. It is something built daily through communication, flexibility, and mutual respect. If I could offer advice to anyone standing where I once stood, it would be this: talk sooner, listen deeper, and don't confuse temporary instability with failure. Life can change without warning, but so can you. When partners support each other without judgment, even uncertainty becomes a path forward and sometimes an unexpected beginning.